Nick, good to see you. Today's topic is a classic. Can I retire early? All of us want to know, right? A recent survey of 2,000 retired Americans found that most expected to retire at 63.2 years old, but instead retired at 61 and a half. And one in three said they would have retired earlier if they'd had the chance, of course. So, how much money do I need in the bank to retire early?
Right. We always hear all these headlines out there. I need $1 million to
Hmm.
retire. I need, 25 times my annual expenses to retire. And all of those are good rules of thumb, but you need a personalized plan for what you're doing. Somebody up in New York may have a different standard of living. Their rent costs, their mortgage costs may be a lot different than what your, plan is down in Tennessee or in Ohio. You want to make sure that your personalized plan is matching up. So how much do you need? I hate this answer, but it's always depends. It depends
Right.
on what your lifestyle is. And you want to make sure that your lifestyle doesn't take a step back going into retirement. So sitting down and coming up with a plan personalized to you is the most important factor there.
hmm So you might be answering my next question already, but I want to ask it anyway. So, what is the first step to figuring out what will get me to and through retirement?
You're absolutely right. Creating that personalized plan is that answer, and taking a step back and really understanding, three main facets. What's your income, coming in. You're no longer making a paycheck after you retire. So where are those income sources coming from? What is your expense? Well, that income that's coming in has to meet up with your standard of living, or what your expenses are going to be in retirement. And then that third plan I always say that you got to have in place is really just a balance sheet. What kind of assets do you have? Where can you pull income from? What's generating income, now, or what's generating income in the future? So having those three, building that comprehensive retirement plan first is vitally important.
hmm And of course, if you retire early, you're no longer getting a paycheck. So it would be tempting to claim Social Security early, but that can lead to a lifetime of reduced benefits.
You're right. So those people that are retiring at age, or have a full retirement age of 67, if they do decide to elect Social Security benefits early, and that's not the wrong decision. That's not what we're saying here. We just want you to be aware that you're taking a 30% reduced benefit for the rest
hmm
of your life. The trade-off there is you're starting to get those benefits a little bit earlier. You just want to make sure that this plan, fits directly, or specifically for you. If you have longevity in the family, you plan on living into your late 80s, early 90s, and possibly even farther. You want to make sure that Social Security is going to be there for you, number one. Number
hmm
two, you want to make sure that there's enough of it there, for you too, not that you're
hmm
just taking it early because it's available to you.
hmm And I know that Social Security claiming strategy is something you specialize in because I can't even remember how many permutations. It's mind boggling, right?
Oh yeah.
So now let's talk through healthcare because a lot of us rely on our employers for health insurance. Medicare doesn't start until you're 65. So let's say that I want to retire early at 60. What do I do for those 5 gap years?
Yep, this is one of the biggest restrictions of why people don't retire before the age of 65, is making sure that you still have that coverage, because you don't want to have to qualify to get onto Medicare. As long as you have coverage going into Medicare and there's no gap in coverage, then you don't have to qualify for Medicare as long as you have enough years of earnings in there. So a couple of things, that you can do if you do want to retire early. There's options with your former employer. You can get Cobra coverage, typically through your former employer for a specified amount of time. It's not going to cover you for all 5 years, but it could, help that gap. The other option is the Affordable Care Act, or otherwise known as Obamacare. That option as well, has been, something for people to be able to take out. Now, you want to be careful of that. If you have a high income going into retirement, the subsidies, may be very minimal, or not at all. But there's ways that you can shift your income to be able to prepare for that going in, at age 60, so that you're not showing a whole lot of income in a given year.
Mm,
We're not talking about tax evasion or anything like that. We don't want to have the IRS breathing down necks. We want to make sure that this is legal. But if you have money coming out of Roth IRAs, money coming, from other savings that's already after tax,
Hmm.
there are ways to, keep your income low, but still maintain that same standard of living.
Hmm. Clearly, if retiring early is a priority, proactive planning is key. You need to get those ducks
Absolutely.
lining up right now, right? So, Nick, if somebody wants to talk through an early retirement with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, they can reach out to us on our website, iconberryretirement.com, or you can give us a call too to schedule an appointment. No cost, no obligation there. 937 498 1128 is our phone number.
All right, Nick, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.